What is going on, all my good folks out there? Happy Friday. And yes, well, this is being recorded on Friday, January the 15th, 2021, the day before the Baltimore Ravens come to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. Of course, I had to rep for Gabriel Davis and my Buffalo Bills, so it's going to be a fun episode. I can't wait. Also, WandaVision is out on Disney Plus. I'm not a plug. It's an exciting thing. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to be watching that afterwards. Anyways, about my guest, episode 18 with Ethan Thornton. I've actually never met this guy in person. We've just exchanged DMs because a mutual friend of ours was like, hey, you should have him on the pod. And I'm like, absolutely, let's fire it up. So this will be fun. He's a photographer, and I'm curious to hear his take on how he's been able to do things through COVID and all that. But he also, what else? Looking Vintage. He has a brand called Looking Vintage. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing more about him and his story and just where he's at in his life right now. So, I should be in here momentarily. Who likes my new little Iron Man mask? Thermos. We got a little baby Yoda in the background. He's, the Christmas tree has come down, so he is back joining me here in the studio. My little nerd cave. So, this is going to be a fun one. I cannot wait. If you're tuned in to the show, thank you so much. It means the world to me. I'm trying to get this thing off the ground, and it's just been a ton of fun. I really appreciate all the support, whether if you listen or if you just reach out saying, hey, cool episode. Yeah, keep doing your thing, or, it means a lot to me. So, it's been a fun ride. And, I'm here on this Friday night before the Bills game. Really excited to record. I'm not good at, I always have like a brief intro before the guest comes on. So, we're waiting for him. Let's go to the phones. I don't have any live callers. How's everyone's week been? Oop. Sorry, it was on Instagram. Fun times. It's been a long week, but we out here on the grind, baby. You know how we do. No, I'm not grinding. This is fun. It's fun. It's like a little hour conversation with some peeps. It's recorded, and we put it out on the internet, and some people tune in, and it's tons and tons and tons of fun. So, just making sure he got the invite. I don't know what is going on. And there's my dog barking upstairs. Yeah. I should probably turn off the... Is this muted? No. Probably, turn off my iMessage on my MacBook. That would be really helpful. I sent the invite, right? Yes, I did. All right, I thought I timed this beautifully, but I didn't. So we are here. What was I doing? I was going to message him, make sure he got the invite. Mind his kids. I sent it to your email. Oops. This is why, this would be fun, I guess, to have a co-host, just so I can chop it up while we wait for guests. But maybe I didn't send it to his email. Yes, I did. Oh, here we go. Everyone, please welcome Ethan Thornton to the RPD show. Oh, he's not on video yet, but here we go. Ethan, what's going on, man? Can you hear me? Oh, you're connecting the audio.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. You can hear me. I can hear you. We're all good.
All good.
Hell yeah, man. All right. I mean, sometimes it's a little iffy with Zoom, but
yeah,
we made it happen.
Yeah, I barely use this thing.
No, it's all good. Gotta keep up with the times.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on the show. It means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
As I was kind of saying before, I mean, obviously you didn't hear it, but when I was just doing an intro on who you are and whatnot, I said, we've never met. We've just briefly talked through DM. So this could be pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but how are you doing, man? How's California?
It's definitely different from Texas. I mean, it's like a different planet out here. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's pretty fascinating. You're in LA right now?
I'm in San Diego right now.
Oh, no way. Okay. Whereabouts?
Yeah. Do you know where Mira Mesa is?
Yeah. I used to live right by there.
Yeah. Yep. That's where I am.
Mira Mesa. And hell yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Old stomping grounds. I used to live in Rancho Penasquitos.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know where that
like
is.
The neighbor suburb or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. That's awesome.
I thought you were in LA. I didn't know you were in San Diego.
No, I do drive up to LA a lot for photo shoots. It's a lot of gas, but it's worth it.
Of course. Yeah, it's just a quick commute.
Yeah.
So Ethan is a photographer, and I kind of like to put like / content creator because like I feel like it's you're doing so many different things and it's pretty bland. Just be like, you're a photographer, like you do. I feel like you do more than that. But what like inspired you, to get into like photography or like want to pursue it as like a hobby or a career or whatever,
So let's backtrack like a year and a half from today. I was going through a lot with my family and I was just a troubled kid. I was lost and I didn't know anything. Like I was not in school. I didn't have a job. I was doing a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing. And it eventually got me kicked out from my home. And I was like, okay, like I need to get on track. Like I need to figure my stuff out, basically. And I grew up in a Christian home, so that was awesome. And I knew of God, but I didn't know who he was or anything. And when I was at my lowest point, I knew I had a camera and I knew of God. I said, God, if you're real, show me a path that I can take into photography. Literally the next day, Addison Rae followed me on Instagram, and that's when I first did a shoot. And that's where it all started. I mean, God opened up a door, and I just went going. I'm not stopping. It's awesome. That's how I got into it.
That's pretty remarkable. I mean, I love story. I mean, I guess really that's kind of what the show is all about. Just like talking to people that overcome obstacles or just are doing different things. And I love that. I mean, because sometimes when you're at your lowest, you just don't really it doesn't feel like there's much hope. You're just like,
Yeah.
like, so I really commend you for just giving it a chance. But that's
And I
that's
encourage anybody as well. Like if when you're at their lowest, you need to find what makes you happy and just go with it. Or even if you're a Christian or not, just go ask somebody or ask God and just go. That's how I feel about it.
yeah, and that clearly it's been. I mean, your first shoot to be with Addison Rae. That's. I mean, this was probably way before she was.
Yeah, she had about 30,000 when I first met her, but literally a month later, millions. So I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, she's out here. That's crazy. Um,
yeah,
good for you, man. That's
thank you.
yeah. Um, as when you were starting though, like were there any obstacles and struggles you may face? Because I mean, obviously, your content on Instagram, people really only see that. They don't see like the tedious editing that you may have to do, or like um,
Yeah.
just other struggles, or like that. Your car nearly broke down on the way to the shoot, or just So like, what do you
Yeah.
think are some of the biggest things that you've gone through?
I mean, I feel like I've ran through every possible problem there is. And it's funny you say car. I've had so many car issues. It's ridiculous. But I would say my number one is mentally, because you can go to a shoot, and I've learned this the hard way, because when it comes to my work, I like to be a perfectionist. And I will just I go to the photo shoot and I'm just like, okay, I want to make this the greatest thing ever. You want to be different, like every photographer. You got to be different. That's how you're going to stand out. And I learned that not every single shoot is going to be good. Like with Gabby Butler, I don't know if you know of her, but great friend. Uh, our first shoot was pretty good, but literally two other shoots later, it was complete crap. Like I couldn't even do one shoot, but to her, they were amazing. So I learned to stay, like, she wants to shoot with me for a reason. She likes my work, so I have to trust my work, because either way she's going to like them even though I don't like them, if that makes sense. So it's just mainly staying mentally strong and trusting what you're doing for that client, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think we're all like our own worst critic, like,
Yeah.
um, because from your perspective, you could look at, you're like, oh, I could do better, or just like, this is my best work. But,
Yeah.
Gabby or whoever you're shooting with could be like, this is amazing. Thank you. But you're in your head, you're like, well, shoot, this, I don't think this is good. I mean, it's the same thing with this podcast when I started it up. And I mean, even to this day, I've kind of gotten over a bit, but like, I don't think I'm that good. And then people text me or DM me or whatever. And they're like, oh, dude, like, I love the show. I'm like, really? I'm just like kind of just winging it and figuring it out, like,
Hey, but that's the best way to
yeah.
go. You just go with the flow.
Yeah. So, I mean,
That's like, no, go ahead.
I've just learned to like accept it for what it is and learn, like, just as I learn how things work, I guess, or
Mhm.
as I continue to go, like you're episode 18, and that's like I've come a long way from 1 to 18, So it's like
Yeah.
it's just a whole. I mean, it's just, well, I guess as they say, trust the process.
Yeah,
so
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
so that's but thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. I mean, I'm sure you're not the only one that struggles with the
Yeah.
the mental part of it.
Yeah. I mean, again, yeah, that's my mental. I mean, there's my top second is probably more generic to people, but I don't know. I guess everyone has their own thing.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, um, what about during all this COVID stuff? Like, how are you doing with that? Like, have you been able to shoot, or like, have you just been working on other
Yeah.
things, or?
Um, so when I probably get hate for this, but I really don't care. But at the very beginning, when COVID first hit, we went into our first lockdown, especially Texas lockdown. That was rare for Texas because we don't really care. But yeah, when we first locked down, I was so, and still am so passionate about what I'm doing. And I don't ever want to stop till I get to my goals. And I was like, I'm not going to let COVID stop me from doing what I love to do just because the world is saying not to do it, whatever. I was just disobeying pretty much. And so I continuously DM models, anybody to shoot with. I know I went to like 4 different states in the beginning of all of it. I still traveled and I still haven't gotten COVID. So I don't know, but I it's not stopped me at all. And still being in California is way worse than in Texas. And it's a lot harder here to shoot, I will say for sure. But I DM a lot of people and I do get a lot of feedback and they're opening up to shooting with me. So it's more relaxed. I think it's just because a lot of people are over the fact that it's COVID still is here, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't think there's anything wrong with you continuing to shoot. I mean, because like, I mean, I've been on some photo shoots and whatnot, and it's not like the photographer's up in the grill. You know, you're not really close to
Yeah.
people anyway. I mean, I mean, the way I look at it is like, obviously be safe, whatever, but I don't think you're much less likely to get it if you practice just, I'm not going to say social distancing, but just like if you are mindful of like germs, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm not trying to be pressed up against this person or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, so I think that's great, man. I mean, I did a little bit of traveling throughout the last year, and you know, I mean, I think us younger people have it a bit better, but
Yeah.
it's a crazy time. But I'm glad you've been able to continue and move forward, though, just like through it
I
all.
appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm a fan of your work, and I mean, I wouldn't have. Um, oh, and I even shout Chris. Chris was the one that, you know him, right? Chris Buxton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
he's
know it's kind of funny. I don't like know him, but I know of him. He's been keeping up with my work and I listen to his music and like we'll just stay in touch from social media and that's how I found you too.
okay. Yeah, because we talk. You know, we're really good friends, and we were just chopping it up. And I was like, hey, like, do you know anyone that would be good for that? And he's like, I know this guy Ethan. I think he'd be great. And like, he sent me your profile. I'm like, all right, man. Like, if you want, you know. And then I followed you. You
That's
followed me
awesome.
back, and so I'm glad we
Yeah.
were able to really do this. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'll probably thank you at least 5 times throughout the episode, being like, hey, man, thank you. It's like, all right,
Hey, me too. This is my first podcast. I'm going with the flow. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
hey,
So thank you.
hey, I'm glad I could be. You know, this could be your first podcast. I hope it could potentially open doors and many. Just, I mean, it's a very popular medium right now for
Mhm.
creators and just.
For sure.
I'm not gonna call myself a personality, but just like people like celebrities or
Yeah,
you
you don't
know,
have to have a personality. I mean,
no,
maybe a little bit, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm like the show is authentically me. It's really
Yeah,
literally called the Ryan Pod Discussion Show. So it's like you get,
rep it.
you know,
Yeah.
but cool. Have there been any favorite or memorable shoots that you remember? I know it's probably uh harder to kind of just think because sometimes it's just like a random day you get it done, whatever. But were
Yeah.
there ones where you're just like, wow, like I'm because you know,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you get what I'm asking.
Um, I'll say my first. I'll do a quick rundown of my top three. Uh,
Okay,
so I want to say my first obviously was with Addison Rae because that's how I found God, and that's just like my number one thing for me because I'm a Christian. So that's my number one best because he opened up that door. Um, and she's just a great person to shoot with. Anybody that meets her would love her. I mean, she's just an outstanding person. Um, Second, this is almost my number one. Do you know of Abilene, Texas?
I can't say I'm familiar, but
Well, it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, all it is dirt and it's hot, like West Texas out there. And it's just, there's just nothing out there. And Gabby was down there, and I was like, hey, let's try to be creative and create something awesome. Like this, let's just make this our best shoot we've ever done. And she's like, okay, cool. And with me and Gabby, she's my number one person where we just click. Since day one, we click, and every single shoot is almost good. 90% of our shoots are just great. And we both came into this photo shoot super, what's the word? Super, I was good with excited, but we were just super excited about creating something. And it was hard because it was in the middle of nowhere, but I ended up using street signs. I mean, even just a little thing off the ground. And there's this one photo is my top favorite of Gabby, and she's like holding this traffic cone, and she's like leaning her head back, and it's all orange, and it's kind of white on the actual road. It's like a downtown, but it's like ghosted. And it was in the middle of summer, and she was wearing a bikini, and it was the most outstanding photo in my opinion. That was definitely my number two. And then lastly, third was probably with Claire Stone shooting in California, because I've always dreamed of even just coming to California and shooting. And she was my very first big shoot in California, and that was cool to check off my dream list.
oh yeah, dude. I mean, the way you're describing the shoot with Gabby, that sounds just incredible. The way you captured that moment. So, dude, I love to hear this, all this. What do you or let's talk about your brand a little bit. Looking Vintage. That's correct?
Yeah,
Like your website and everything. Did you start that after you started getting more into the photography realm, or was
yeah,
that just like something that like it was just like you did your first shoot and it's like, okay, like this is the imprint, this is the brand.
yeah. Um, so when again, it all ties back to my first shoot, my first big shoot, and that was with Addison. And when I was editing Addison's photos, I came up with an edit, not a filter off of some app. I created something on my own, and I sent it to her, and it was a vintagey vibe, and she absolutely loved it. And I was like, okay, cool. And I ran with it. And still today, I use vintage as my photography standpoint. I mean, it's definitely tweaked. I'm a lot better than I was months ago, and I just love vintage things. I love vintage cars, but just everything. And I was like, what if I can create a brand? And I love clothing, and then if I just tied it in together basically. So it was photography, then this clothing line. That's how it came up, and I was like, looking vintage. It seems so simple, but I mean, it's catchy. I don't know, but that's how it started, just from my photography.
Okay. Well, how let me ask you this: how long did it take you to think of like the name for like this idea, or did it come to you instantly?
A week, yeah.
Okay.
It was not long at all.
Okay. Okay. I think that's amazing because, well, like with this podcast, uh, it took me months to think of a name until, uh, well, my friend calls me RPD as like a joke. Um, it's like a running joke between me and him. And then I was just on FaceTime. I'm like, man, like I know I want to start this podcast. And he's like, RPD. I'm like, oh my God, it's been in front of me like the whole time, like what the heck? So
Yeah,
sometimes like you have the idea, but like the name takes forever to come up, just because you want it to, I don't know, how brand, like when you're
yeah,
starting like a brand or a thing, it's like you want everything to be kind of on point. So
yeah. You wanted to stand out too.
yeah. So and roll off the tongue a little bit. So I'm always curious when people have their own thing. It's like, how long did that take you? Because sometimes the
Yeah,
name part of it takes the longest.
I almost did change it though, because I thought it was almost too simple, but then I kind of related it to like these other companies like H&M. It's just an H and an M, like, and I like the looking vintage, and then when I created the logo, it looked very good. So it all worked out perfectly to me. So
I love it. I mean, sometimes simplicity is just like where you gotta go with it. I mean, sometimes if
yeah,
you try too hard and it's like might not be the right thing, but you just gotta. At the end of the day, I think you just gotta trust your gut. Trust
oh
your
yeah,
judgment, and like, and then just go with it. Like you said, just go with the flow. You
hmm
know,
that's
and
how
now
I live
you're
my life.
yeah, now you're here. Doing podcasts. You probably never thought you'd be doing that, and we're here. On a Friday night, well, Friday evening,
Yeah,
and just ripping. Doing our
yeah.
thing. So, um, how I probably should ask this alert, but how long have you been doing photography? Like how long has this been a thing for you?
Mm, about year and a half, almost 2 years now.
Wow, that's
Yeah, I've grown tremendously. Yeah, it's crazy. And a
that's
short amount of time for a photographer, I feel like.
that's incredible. I never like looking at your work. I never would have been like, I thought you would have released like a few, 3, 4, 5 years into it at least. But a year and a
Yeah,
half, that's incredible, man.
I appreciate that. It's just a lot of continuous work. It's just doing it over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, just the continuing improvement of everything. So,
Yes, sir.
um, like okay, so like you have the brand, the clothing brand, plus the photography looking vintage, vintage. Sometimes you can't speak. What other interests do you have outside of that? Like, are you into sports, or like, are you into what, or is it just more of like you just kind of have this passion and that's more what you're focused on?
Yeah, I know I don't really know exactly when I want to do these things because I have a lot of stuff. I like to do a lot of things. Obviously, I'm already doing so much, and I want to soon create a podcast actually,
No
and
way. Okay.
yeah, because I want to tie it into my photography. How I tied in, I want it all tied in together. And I was just thinking, like, if I can do the photo shoot with these people, like, what if I can bring them onto my show and just interview them as well, and just have a conversation after the photo shoot, ask them how they went, how they liked it, how they, it just like a whole, I don't know, just sit down, talk, have fun with it. I mean, pretty relaxed, but it'd be something with looking vintage, probably. So, but that's something I really want to do. I just don't know when yet.
Okay. I love that. I mean, honestly, if you have the idea for it, just go with it. I mean, you don't really need that fan. I just use my MacBook and I bought a USB mic, and for like a couple $100, and here we are. But I think, I mean, honestly, the number one thing with podcasting is I think it's such a great networking tool. Like you said, you could use it for your shoots, with people that you meet. And I mean, more often times than not, you may get one person or whatever that be like, I'm not really my thing. Like, thanks, but no thanks. But
Mhm.
most of the time, people are flattered. It's like, oh, you want to like talk about me and my life? Like, that's, they won't admit it, but like, it's kind of a flattering feeling to just, be talking about yourself. So,
Oh yeah. No, yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll admit it. I don't care. Like as
yeah,
soon as you said this or reached out to me, I was like, I'm all in. Like this is I've always wanted to do this. I mean, you gotta start somewhere and we're both growing. And that's what I like about you and you're reaching out to these people. I mean, I'm not big either. I'm not, but I see your grind and we're both grinding and I like to work with people like that, if that makes sense.
yeah, help each other out, and just,
Exactly.
hope, people that follow my show or just follow me, that they may be put onto your work. And, my ultimate goal with it really is, just not, like, I don't even have a focus on a dollar sign. It's more of like if you were to DM me one day and someone was like, hey, like, meet so and so. I did a shoot with so and so because like they found me through like your podcast or whatever. Like if I'm able to bring you business or just an opportunity, like I that means more to me than like any amount of money I could ever make from this
That's
thing.
awesome.
So I'm, like kind of like you said, I'm all about helping people, and it's really, I mean, my show is interview based, so it's kind of like, helping tell your story and pushing what you're doing in your brand. So it's fun, and it's cool because I mean, especially now with Zoom, it's kind of like we've never met, and obviously I prefer to do them in person, but
Yeah.
it makes it easier if like we're in different locations. So
Yeah, for sure.
other than podcasts though, like, is that really the only other thing you have your mind on, or is it just I mean, it's kind of hard to predict the future because like one day you can get an idea and it's like, okay, like I never would have thought of that. So
Yeah. I mean, the podcast thing I've been talking about for a couple months. But um, I mean, I can't really think of anything big for now, but like I have goals for the year, obviously. And I mean, what people can expect is like for the clothing line, I plan on having 2 to 3 drops of new stuff, but even better than the last one. The first drop was uh just kind of throw it out there, see how it does basically. And because that was my first ever. And I don't like I I'm kind of talking bad about my brand right now, but I'm just being honest. But the clothing is not the only thing that's good about it is the hoodies. T-shirts, if you buy them, you just like me because they're not that good. And I mean, I'm always for improvement, and I'm speaking it now, and there will be a lot better quality stuff happening this year. I will say that for sure.
hey man, it's all good to kind of speak down. Like I kind of told you, I think I suck at this, and I mean, you're paying for the merch basically out of your back pocket, I would assume, right? So your own pocket. So sometimes I mean, hoodies, quality hoodies are important, but like, I don't know, it's a shirt. So I mean, it's like that's more of like you'll get it if you're just supporting you. So I mean, I wouldn't stress it too hard. I mean, if it works, it works. But I think it's important to
Yeah,
have that eye on the long term. Like, okay, when I can, I'm gonna improve this for sure. But for now, it's like it is what it is. You know.
I mean, I see your point, but I don't know. I've always thought differently, way differently than people. And like since I was little, I've always dreamed of having the best, being the biggest, all these things. And like one of my goals for this looking vintage is not only I don't want okay material clothing. I want to be the next H&M but better, basically. That's my goal. Because I love business, and that's just one of my goals I'm going to accomplish. Just don't know when, but I will be just as big as H&M one day. I'm
I
just
love.
gonna make it happen.
Yeah, I love
So
that, man. That's great. I didn't mean to or
no, I'm
like
just saying.
no, I meant like I was kind of retracting your statement. 'Cause you're like they're not the best. I was kind of like, of course, there's always room,
Well, yeah,
but
yeah,
I love that mentality of just like, because I mean, because if you don't shoot for like the moon or whatever, as they say, like or like the best of the best, because then even if you fall short a little bit, you're still doing pretty good. But there's ways to improve. I think having that mentality, and as a creative and professional and business guy, you kind of just have to have that.
mm.
Am I wrong or?
No, you're right.
I mean, I think a lot. We're doing the type of thing that I'm doing. You're doing. All the creators out there trying to like get some up. You got to be a little bit delusional, I think. And it's to a sense, like not like
Are you talking
where
about like the work ethic?
work ethic and just like the mentality. delusional, not like where it's like you're mentally ill. I'm not, but like to the point where it's like you think like I'm the best, but like I'm not. I may not showcase it and be like braggadocious, like, you know,
Yeah.
what up? I'm
No,
the
yeah, I
best
get that.
status photographer out here, but like in your mind, you think like I'm like the guy. I can
Yeah.
do anything.
I mean, I don't like to be cocky, that's for sure. I'm not that way, but I do know I am good. Like I'm not gonna go around and
Yeah.
say stuff, but I yeah, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah,
Hey man, it happens all the time. Like
it just went
trust,
gone.
trust me, it happens. So I hear you. It's all good. But I think I had an idea what you're saying. So great point. We'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
I've definitely blanked. You know, I so don't stress. Um, how San Diego? How are you liking San Diego? Is it?
Um, I mean, I do wish I lived a little closer to LA because I go there a lot, and the gas is ridiculous. And I'm so used to Texas prices, and it's so much cheaper than here. That's for sure. But I mean, San Diego's pretty cool. I mean, I don't really have any problems with it. I mean, it's hiking, there's that beach. I mean, you really can't complain, especially if you were where I was in Texas when there's nothing. So,
You're from where? Uh, the place you mentioned earlier. I don't know I can't remember the exact name of it. No,
oh,
because I meant
that
to ask you that earlier. Where about in Texas? Where are you from?
yeah, that Gabby shoot was in Abilene, which is like
Abilene.
6 hours from my home.
Oh,
I'm from Longview, Texas. It's 2 hours east of Dallas.
oh, no way. Okay,
Yeah.
never been there, but was in. I went to Fort Worth in October for the World Series,
Oh, okay,
and
dope.
and that was kind of a cool experience, just even during COVID and everything. But
Did you get to venture out in Dallas or no? Just Fort Worth.
kind of just the Fort Worth area because that's like where my hotel was. But it was,
Mhm.
I mean, Texas is crazy. It's just like so spread out, and I like it. I mean, I I I used to tour manage, like for bands and other artists and stuff. So um, I've definitely been through. Honestly, I probably passed through that, uh, on Route 10. Honestly, like
Yeah,
so. Uh,
yeah. You definitely got to go to Dallas, though. It's definitely different. I'll say that.
I the night I spent there, it was pretty. But I don't think I was in Dallas, Dallas. I think it was just like a small part of it, and even that part. But like I haven't been to probably
Like
work.
the downtown and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, Texas has a lot to offer. Like, I mean, a lot of people are. I mean, Joe Rogan just moved out there to Austin, and
Yeah.
people are. I mean, it's no. There's no tax, no state tax or income. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's no sort of tax there that like attracts people, and
Yeah.
I always
I
try to.
get you.
I'm not a encyclopedia or a Google. I always whenever I was talking with other guests and stuff, and um, we're talking about COVID, and I was like, all right, like I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just saying what I think I heard. So like, just because I'm not trying to have anyone come at me like, oh, like bro, like you were so false about. I'm like, I stated that
Yeah. Yeah.
this is just like maybe some random BS I heard on the internet. So
Yeah. You got to be careful. Some people don't really care and they'll just go for you.
luckily, I'm not that big where I have like a bunch of you know how it is with celebrities or whoever with large followings, and they have everyone all over, and like there's
Yeah.
always a group of people that get offended no matter what, just because. And luckily, most of the it's friends of mine or people that know of me or people I mean fans of people I've had on or whatever. So not too rough of a crowd. I've only encountered positivity through this platform. So fingers
That's
crossed,
great.
so, but
Yeah.
I really hope that you, start up your podcast. And if you need any help getting that going, I'm a DM away, I text away, whatever, phone call away. Like, you can reach out to me anytime,
Appreciate
and
that
we
a
can,
lot, actually. Thank
and
you.
of course, and I can pass on the knowledge that I know. So
Hey, maybe one day you and I will be working together. You never know.
that's the beautiful thing about this. Like, I mentioned earlier that it's a networking thing, right? And like, even though we never met, like, I consider you a friend now. Like, it's like someone that
Mhm.
could, if there's something that makes sense, I could totally hit you up and be like, hey, like, there's like this poppin' model I know, even though I don't, she's looking for a photographer. I mentioned your name. She may reach out
Yeah.
to you, or whatever, you know what I'm getting at. I'm not,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. I
maybe
did.
what we do another podcast on your show or whatever,
Mhm.
fun. It's cool. So, I can't thank you enough for, actually, I've thanked you enough, but thanks again for being on here.
Yeah, of
This
course.
this is kind of the part of the show where it's like, I call it on my topic list that I sent you. It's like closing thoughts, which is kind of my
Yeah, yeah.
nice way of, saying, like, if you got anything you want to plug, anything you want to say, if you just want to say, follow me on the gram, yo, I'm at whatever, this is where it's like your time to hit them with
Yeah.
anything you got. So
Well,
no
pressure's
pressure.
on me now. I mean, the only thing I could say is never say no. That's it. Never say no.
Boom,
That's it.
mic drop. I love it.
That's literally people, because people ask me, how do you do what you're doing now? How do you get to travel? How do you? It's so simple. It's because I don't say no to myself. It 90% of what we do is mentally. All it is a yes, and you make it happen. Everything can happen. You just got to make it happen. So just don't say no and always say yes. So there you go.
Damn, I love that. That's like such a mic drop ending. And I'll add that you know, say yes until there's a reason, until you have a reason that you can say no, you know? But that's not always true. I think it's always good to just, but Ethan Thornton, thank you again, man, for being on the show. I appreciate you. Go follow, hold on, let me pull up. I don't want to miss. Go follow him on Instagram. I mean, I'll tag him in the post, but E.
Yes.
Thornton with 2 N's at the end. So you can find him
Yes.
on Instagram, reach out to him, drop by, tell him that you listen to the show and you think he's cool or whatever you want to say. But yeah,
Yes.
Ethan,
Hey, thank you for having me on the show too.
hey, I'm glad this could be your first podcast. I'm glad we got to chop it up. Until the next time, man, but thanks for tuning in, everyone. We will see you at episode 19. I hope my math's right. And